Everything that lives is designed to end. We are perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of
reality, the state or quality of having existence. However, what defines existence? What makes something exist?
For those who don't know, AIKODE is an upcoming action RPG made by a solo developer. That's right, one person is making this, and also this. Now, if it reminds you of NieR, that's because it is one of the major inspirations behind this game. And I had the chance of playing the exclusive demo this week, so let's talk about it. First things first, I would call this more of a teaser than a demo because it's pretty limited in terms of what you can do and where you can go. But it's also powerful because it gives you just enough of a taste of what's to come, and it has me really excited for the game now. From the first moment, you can clearly see the inspirations behind AIKODE. After the intro, the demo opens up with a short walk through Shibuya before transitioning to a town that reminded me of Gravity Rush. Here you can take in the sights, look around, and you can even play a guitar. And as you're exploring, another NieR-inspired mechanic shines through, the dynamic, layered music that changes on the fly with your surrounding elements. The moment I got to this part, I was instantly transported to the first time I played NieR Replicant. And then you continue and get to the first combat encounter where you get to see the smooth movement and the fluid combat with some really cool animations. It's the kind of stuff you would see in something made by Platinum Games. To see this level of finesse in something made by one person, it's absolutely astounding. Now, following this fight, you're transported to an area reminiscent of Kingdom Hearts and you meet this little guy just to do this. And here you kind of start to see the game's own identity breaking out through all the inspirations. You meet 7 more cats and you can either pet them or kill them. Petting them just lets you go on about your day, but if you kill all of them, this is the screen you see. Pretty ominous, but moving on. At the end of this section, you meet another person who I assume is an antagonist, and she transports you into yet another world. And this is where you see the biggest inspiration that AIKODE takes from NieR. Look at her butt. Following a short underwater section, you take off into the sky and start flying, which reminded me a little of the flying mechanic in Anthem. Finally, you get to the puppet boss fight, and the boss fight is kinda simple, though it still has the same level of polish in the movement and attack animations. After the boss fight is done, the puppet tells you that you and the puppet are actually the same, and that you've been stuck in an existential loop all this time. Then you can either break free from the loop or restart it. If you break the loop, that's where the demo ends, followed by a quick behind-the-scenes sequence of the game's development. But narratively, this is the exact point where you start seeing the direction and the immense scope of the game's story. And I think this is what's exactly going to make or break this game. Up until you get to the puppet boss fight, you've only seen fragments of different worlds or realities as I understand it. After beating the boss, these pieces start to come together. As you free yourself from the puppet's strings, in doing so, you also free the puppet into its own self. The player is also the puppet, and at the same time, you have a parallel existence in a sort of dream world, while you're actually trapped in a perpetual loop of your own creation that you call reality, while your mind just fades into obscurity. And it's also possible that you're nothing but an AI code that doesn't even exist in reality. After all, what is reality? Do any of us really exist? Now, it's easy to dismiss this kind of metaphysical stuff in a game as pretentious or trying too hard, but I don't think that AIKODE is trying to break the fourth wall here. I think it's trying to build a bridge between the player and what they see on the screen, if that makes sense. We've seen some of this stuff in NieR Automata as well. But where NieR tried to make you question your humanity, AIKODE tries to make you question your reality. And it doesn't repeatedly explain shit to you like Death Stranding. It shows you bits and pieces to tease your brain and make you think. Although AIKODE does share a sense of humor with Death Stranding, the only difference is you can't kick Princess Peach the way you can kick Catterick Cateman. Anyway, the best example I can give here is the beginning and the end of the demo. They both say the same thing. If you only look at this intro, it's easy to dismiss the message as philosophical garbage. But the ending adds so much context and puts things into perspective. Of course, it's not entirely a work of fiction because there's real work being put into it. There's programming, design, animation, music, 3D modeling, sound design, and a million other things. Of course, the characters would resemble people in the real world without coincidence because we draw inspiration from the things around us. Ultimately, all fiction has its roots in reality. But here's the big question. At what point does fiction start becoming its own reality? Of course, it's also completely possible that I'm reading too much into a little teaser and maybe none of it is the way it seems. After all, we perceive and understand the way around us differently, we express ourselves in our own different ways. Our lives go round and round in daily loops, and in a way, we create our own little version of reality. But that's something we can debate about all day long, so let's go back to the topic at hand. As a teaser, AIKODE both impressed and disappointed me. Disappointed only because it was too short and I wanted to see more of it. It's a game that wears its inspirations on the sleeves, or the butt if you're being cheeky, but at the same time, you can easily see that it has its own identity. Yes, you can easily spot NieR or Final Fantasy or Gravity Rush or Anthem or Kingdom Hearts or a bunch of other games in here. But you can also clearly see where AIKODE is trying to do its own thing. You don't have to take my word for it, but do be on the lookout for this game because a public demo is supposed to be out later this year that you can try for yourself. Only time will tell if AIKODE shapes up to be a good game, but as of now, it definitely has my attention. And remember when the game warned you about consequences after you killed those 8 cats? This is what happens when you restart the loop after killing all of them. There's nothing around you, there's nothing you can do, you're stuck, you take a few steps, you get shot by a laser, and it restarts. Over and over and over again. The menu doesn't work, nothing works apart from you just walking around and getting shot in a few seconds, and the only way to end it is by pressing Alt F4 and exiting the game.